Hello everyone, it is April and I am here to do romance recommendations. Now, before we dive in, I need to preface this with, I have no heart. I usually really hate a romance book. I just cringe. But there are a few books that have been romance books, have had some mega romance in them, and I have swooned and enjoyed. So I'm here to recommend a few romancy books. Let's get into it. We are creeping closer to 15,000 subscribers on this channel. And I am doing a $150 Amazon gift card giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, and like this video. Stick around until the end of this video and I'm going to get into more detail about the giveaway itself and how you can win. I have 6 books. 6 romancy books here to share with you. I'm going to start with contemporary and move right along. The first contemporary book I'm going to recommend to you is One Day in December by Josie Silver. I read this past Christmas and actually really enjoyed it. This is about a woman who is on a bus. Here she is on the bus and she sees a man waiting at a bus stop. And they lock eyes, and there is something there. There is something there, and she doesn't know what it is, but neither of them move. And so her bus moves along, and she's left with all of these, like, what if? What if I had gotten off the bus? What if he had gotten on the bus? And there's, like, I think several months that she's, like, pining after this guy. And unfortunately for her, her best friend ends up dating the guy. She doesn't say anything, like she meets the best friend's boyfriend and it's the guy, and they both recognize one another, but they don't say anything to the best friend. And it's about what happens over the course of the next few months, few years. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was very funny at times. I was furious with some of the characters at times, and it was just fun. So I would recommend that. I would also absolutely recommend Bridget Jones's Diary. I love this series, specifically the first 2. I haven't really gotten on well with the rest of them, like Boy Meets Bridget Meets a Boy, or I can't remember them all, but I, in particular, love the first book. This book follows Bridget Jones, who lives in London. She's in publishing. She is a 30-something or 20-something-year-old woman in publishing, and she's trying to find love in her life and struggling. She's, really hard on herself, and she ends up having a bit of a romantic relationship with her boss, Daniel Cleaver. And he's not always so nice. Not always so nice. Also, I feel like he kind of sexually harasses her. In any case, there is also a man named Mark Darcy who is actually quite lovely. This is very much inspired by Pride and Prejudice. And I just found it hilarious. She also has a group of friends who are awesome. I loved them. I found it funny, not too cringeworthy. And I was rooting for Bridget the whole way through. So I would totally recommend Bridget Jones's Diary. Moving right along to some historical fiction books, shall we? The first is Memoirs of a Geisha. I could not believe this was written by a man, Arthur Golden, because it felt so, I don't know, it felt like it was written by a woman somehow. So in this book, we follow a young woman who is destitute. She is very, very young. She's like maybe 12 or something along those lines. She's quite young. she unfortunately has parents who are very poor. Her mother is dying. Her father, I think, is a fisherman. He cannot afford to keep her and her sister, and he sells them essentially. And she is sold to become a geisha. And so we follow her learning the art of becoming a geisha, and all of that is very interesting and takes up a lot of the first bit of the book. But the main thing of this is that there is a romance between her and this businessman that she meets. But it's a very slow romance, which mostly consists of her completely pining after him, feeling really uncomfortable that she has to entertain these other men when she is completely in love with him. And it's about their relationship. Will they ever get together? You have to read the book to find out. I really enjoyed this book a lot. Another book that I don't think a lot of people would categorize as romance, but I actually found it to be quite romantic. It's one of my favorite books of all time. This is The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. This follows a couple who are dealing with infertility. Isabel, has had multiple miscarriages. Some of them are further along in pregnancy. It's devastating to her. And they live on an island because he is a lighthouse keeper. And so they live on Janus Rock. And one day a boat comes ashore, a little rowboat with a dead man in the boat and a living and breathing baby. And they take the baby in and call her their own and tell everyone that she is theirs. And there's a lot of ramifications of that. But in this book, you find Tom and Isabel meeting and slowly developing this romantic relationship that leads to marriage. And I feel like in this book, you see their relationship being majorly challenged by a lot of morality issues. And it's how they deal with it. Will they be able to hold on to their marriage or not? I loved this book. I think it's nearly time for a reread because it's been quite a few years since I've read it. Also, it's time for M.L. Stedman to come out with another book. It's been a while. And I loved this book so much. Like, that's one of those books, those books that like you just hold and you just feel all of the feels. This is one of those books for me. Okay, and then two other books. They're both Jane Austen. Is anyone shocked? No. I love Jane Austen. I've read all of her books now, which is kind of sad because there are no more for me. And I have two probable favorites. We'll start with my all-time favorite. No one is surprised. It's Pride and Prejudice. In this book, we meet Elizabeth Bennet, who is the second eldest of the Bennet family. The Bennet family is basically consistent of a lot of girls and the father. And they go to all sorts of parties, and some of them are more responsible than others. Some of them are a little bit too young, both like their age too young, they're like mentally too young to be out. And unfortunately for Elizabeth, Elizabeth is a very headstrong, very level-headed character who, cares about politeness. She's embarrassed time and time again. And she meets a man named Mr. Darcy, who is incredibly wealthy. And her mom is all excited that there's this super wealthy man. And he is incredibly rude to her and her family. And it is about the tension between them and them kind of hating one another. And this slowly develops into something that might go beyond hate. It's kind of a hate to love story. It really is. I loved this book. It's definitely, again, time for a reread from me. For this one, is just so much fun and has inspired like so many retellings. It's kind of crazy. So I definitely recommend this. Another book I would absolutely recommend is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. This follows two sisters named Eleanor and Marianne and their mother, and they are pretty much destitute. They end up living at a cottage, and Marianne is completely, oh sorry, Eleanor I should say, is completely in love with this man, and it seems like there's this connection, but then she discovers that he might be tied to someone else, and she's devastated but is too sensible to say anything. She just hides all of her feelings inside, which is really a difficult way to live. Marianne, on the other hand, is very romantic, incredibly romantic. And she does meet a man who might be too good to be true. But she falls head over heels in love, and it's following these two sisters, and you are rooting for them both. You both want them to do well and to meet good men, and I really did enjoy that. So who would have thought that we would be here talking about romance books? I don't know, but I have really enjoyed all of those books. Let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions for me based on those books. Do you have any suggestions about what romance book I should pick up next? It's a real struggle for me, so if you can help me out, that would be great. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll chat with you soon. Bye! All right, with 15,000 subscribers just around the corner, this is your chance to win a $150 Amazon gift card. It's in Canadian because I am Canadian. And I hope that one of you will be able to buy all sorts of lovely books from your wish list with it. Now, in order to win, you need to first be subscribed to this channel, like this video, and also leave a comment in the comments below. After we hit 15,000 subscribers, I am going to pick a random video, randomize the comments, and pick a winner. So the more videos you watch, the more comments you leave, the more chances that you are going to have to win. Good luck to all of my bookish friends out there.